Hello friends, welcome back to your own learning platform, Learn Forward. And we are here with your grammar book, The Grammar Hub for Grade 7 by Feathercap. Going ahead on the journey, we will be learning about adjectives in chapter 4 of your book. What are adjectives? Exactly, they are describing words. So what new here? Let's see. What are those? Let's explore. Adjectives of number and quantity. What is the difference? I have already told you. When we talk about adjective of number, we talk about countable nouns, and when we talk about adjective of quantity, we talk about uncountable nouns. Now, any is an adjective and it is used when we want to talk in a negative way, right? For example, if I say I don't have any work, I cannot say I don't have some work to do. I say I don't have any work to do. So that any shows the absence of that thing, right? Do you have any book to read? That means I am expecting no. But if I say, do you have some book to read? I know he's good at reading. He just loves reading books. So he should be having. That's why I am saying, do you have some book to read? Right? So any is for negation. It is used in a negative sentence. And then some is just the opposite. It is used in affirmative sentences where you are saying positive things. I have some biryani left. I have some work right now. Sorry, I have to leave. I have some work right now. So you don't want to disclose the work, but you want to show that you are busy right now. We also use some when a positive answer is expected, like I just gave you an example. Do you have a book to read? So there I'm expecting a positive answer, I'll use some. If I'm expecting a negative answer, I'll use any there. Now the difference between few, a few, the few, children. This is very interesting. Few is the adjective of number. We use it for countable nouns. But what is the difference between few, a few, the few? When I say few, it means, it does not actually mean the absence of anything, but it means whatever quantity, whatever number of things you have, whatever number of noun you have, it is not sufficient. Okay, so few means not sufficient. That means hardly any. It is not good for anything, like good for nothing it is, right? If I say I have to buy some storybooks this year, as I have few at home, that means you are not denying the fact that you have storybooks. But whatever number you have, it's not like that is hardly any. Might be you have 2, 3, but you want to read more. So that is not of that importance. That is why I am saying few. I cannot say I don't have any storybooks, so I am going to buy. Yes, I have. But that number is immaterial. It's not sufficient. It's hardly any. That is the meaning of few. But when I say a few, that means whatever number it is, yes, it's good enough to be satisfied. Like I can lend you some books from a few that I have. That means I don't have a huge collection of storybooks. But yes, whatever collection I have, from that I can lend you some. That means that number is good enough to share also with somebody, but it is not too much. That is why you are saying a few. Coming to next is the few. The few means whatever you are talking about, you already have little, a lesser number, but then whatever you are talking about, you are talking about that whole lot. How? Let's see. I can give away the few books to the school library when I go away. That means when I just leave from here, I can go. I have some storybooks. This is not a very huge collection of books, but whatever few books I have, I can give that to the school library. I can donate it to the school library. That means you are wishing, you are expressing your wish to donate all those books, storybooks that you have. Okay, without exception, you will be donating all of them. And yes, with the word the few, you are accepting. Yes, of course, the number is not too much. Like I don't have many storybooks, but whatever I have, I will give all of them. Is that clear to you, students? Few means negligible. It's not of any worth, but you cannot deny that you don't have. A few means, yes, the quantity is less, but then you can manage with it. And the few means whatever you are talking about, you have a little one, but you are talking about that entire lot. Is that clear? Can we move ahead? Good. Now, same is the difference that I explained you about few, a few, a few, the few. Same is the difference between little, a little, the little, but here you talk about uncountable nouns. Little means that is negligible, and a little means it is like you can just, it can fulfill your need. And when you say the little, it means whatever happened, it happened to all that stuff. How? Let's read examples. There was little information on the subject. That means whatever topic is being discussed, there was hardly any information. I cannot say there was no information. Yes, I got some information, but it was not sufficient for me to make a decision. So that was little information. It was not able to help me out completely. There is a little tea left in the teapot. Would you like to have that? So that means the tea, whatever is there, that quantity is less, of course, but then it is good enough to that you can have it, right? It's not just 2 sips that I'm giving. It is less, but you can have your fill with that. So though a very small quantity, but it can help you out. Next is the little sugar that you added to the tea is sufficient. You mean to say you added a small quantity of sugar to the tea, but what you added is sufficient for me. Why? Because I take less sugar in my tea, right? So no need to add more. Whatever you added was sufficient. So this is the difference between little, a little, the little when we are talking about uncountable nouns. Hope you have understood it. Are you sure? Can you just give me a thumbs up if you have understood? That's brilliant, and even the smiles reflect your learning, students. Okay, coming to the next is many and much. We already know many is used for countable nouns and much is used for uncountable nouns. So what ahead is, when we were doing the degrees of adjective, I told you that old turns to older, oldest, old also turns to elder, eldest. But what's the difference? Older, oldest is used in terms of age, but elder, eldest is also used in terms of age when we talk about siblings. That means in the family relation, blood relation only. Even when you talk about cousins, you do not say he is my elder cousin. No. So it's only when you talk about your siblings, you say he is my elder brother, she is my elder sister, he is the eldest son in the family. That means again we are talking about the siblings out of which he is the eldest one, right? So otherwise, whenever we talk about anybody in terms of age, we are making comparison. We will be saying old, he is an old man, my father is older than his brother. Sorry, my father is older than my mother, and he is the oldest man in the society. Fine. Now coming to the next, this late, later, latest, and late also turns to later or last. We also use the word next here. So this is used when we talk in reference to time. Like we say, what is the latest news? That means the news that has just come up lately. That means recently. And when we talk about this late, later, last, that means we are talking about the position. Who is sitting at the last bench? So here I am talking about position, right? So this is talked about when we are saying about position. Similarly, when talking about comparative and superlative degrees, there was a word far. It turns into farther, farthest. This is used when we talk about distance, children. And it changes to further, furthest when we talk about distance. Sorry, this is when we talk about distance, and this is when we talk about position, right? So if I say I live farther than my friend or farther from the school, that means I am apart, at a more distance. And when I say what is your further question, that means I am talking about the next question in position. So these are the two different positive and comparative formations of the word far also, right? Now, if we say, please remind me later, so I am using this word because I am referring to time. Please remind me later during the day about your letter. And if I say, could you please turn on the TV for the latest news flash? That means the news that has recently arrived. So we are talking about latest, that means the position, and here we are talking about the time. Fine. Let's read other. Between Rajiv and Tanu, I think the latter is more proficient in English. So out of this sequence, out of this position, we are talking about the latter. Who is the latter one? The latter one is Tanu. So Tanu is more proficient in English. Speaking is the last thing. Now here again I am talking about position. It is the last thing that Rahul wants to do. So when he puts the things in sequence, speaking comes to his last. That means it's not in priority list. Please ask Rohit to get ready for the next round of the competition. So this is again we are talking about next means in terms of position, right? So these were the different adjectives. Now we have an exercise for you just to check about your learning. Fill in the blanks with the correct adjectives given in the brackets. So here you have the choices. Which one is correct? You see, I spent dash money I had on his gorgeous dress. Yes, what will come here? Money, a little or the little? You mean to say whatever small amount of money I had, I spent all of that. So what will come? I spent the little money. My dash sister sent me a watch. So for your sister, what will you use? Yes, elder. Both these are comparative, but for siblings, we use elder. Mr. Batra distributed dash sweets. Some sweets or any? Yes, we will use some. Why? Because any is used in negative sentences. Good. Next, was dash money wasted over the project? So money, is it countable? No, students, money is not countable. Money includes not only rupees, not only currency, it includes all the valuables that you have. It can be property, it can be any of your assets, it includes everything. So money is not countable. We don't say how many money, we say how much money do you want. But yes, of course, if I say how many rupees, I can count rupees. So I'll say how many rupees do you need to buy your notebook. Okay. So please remember, money includes more assets than your currency. It is not countable. So now tell me what will come. How much money? Okay. Next. We were asked for dash clarification. We were asked for, are you talking about distance here? We are talking about position here. That means they wanted more information from us. So we were asked for further clarification. That means I needed to give more clarification on it. Is that clear? So for every knocking out an adjective or using an adjective, you must reason out yourself so that you are there with the rules why and where we use a particular adjective. Now it's time to recall our learning from the sessions on adjectives. What is adjective? That is a describing word. Then we learnt about the different kinds of adjectives, the adjective of quantity, the adjective of quality, adjective of number, demonstrative, interrogative, possessive adjectives. Then we also learnt about distributive adjectives, emphasizing adjectives, and proper adjectives, out of which I suppose distributive adjectives are new to you. Each, every words like that, for which we use we mean to say individually. Emphasizing are to lay emphasis on something, like this is the very question, this is my own house, like that. So you are putting emphasis using that. And proper adjectives come from proper nouns. And one more thing that you have to remember is demonstrative, interrogative, possessive words which give an answer to. Demonstrative gives to which? Interrogative are question words, and possessive adjectives give an answer to whose. They must be uh, followed by a noun to make them adjectives. This is for sure. Okay. So please remember, any interrogative word, that means any question word, will not be an adjective. The thing to remember is there should be a noun immediately after it. Okay. Now moving ahead, we learnt about formation of adjectives using EREST, using IER, replacing Y into I, repeating the last letter, then using more and most for the comparative and superlative degrees, and also the three different forms, the totally changed spellings in comparative and superlative degrees. Going ahead, we also learnt about the two different branches of the same in comparative and superlative degrees for the same adjective, and we learnt about their difference also. Now, we also learnt about two or more adjectives in a sentence. They are placed in a particular order. And what's the acronym? Oh, yes, you are right there now. That is DOSA-SCOMP. I hope that helped you in learning the order of adjectives. That's brilliant. So, adjectives have 3 degrees of comparison: positive, comparative, and superlative. That was all we learned in this session. Now, it's time for, yes, check your knowledge. Pick the correct answers. Describing words are known as, of course, we are doing adjectives. Which kind of adjectives points out the person, places, or thing? Point out is which. That means demonstrative adjectives. Good. Adjective of quantity are followed by countable nouns. What do they become? If the adjective of quantity are followed by countable nouns, that means they turn into adjective of number, because I gave you an example of sum, isn't it? Yes. So that is an example where adjective of quantity sum becomes the adjective of number, because you are talking about countable noun. The original form of an adjective, what is that degree called? It's the positive degree. Yes. Here's another exercise. Change the degrees of comparison according to the instructions. So they are asking you to change the degree, but the meaning should not change. Shakespeare is greater than all other English dramatists. So you have to use superlative degree. So what will it be? Shakespeare is the greatest English dramatist. Fine. You are using superlative degree now. The ostrich is the biggest bird, and you want to make it comparative. How will you say this? The ostrich is, now because you have to use comparative, what is the comparative form here? Is bigger. Now comparative degree is always followed by than. Good. Is bigger than. Bigger than what? On the other side, you will keep all other birds. So the ostrich is bigger than any other bird. Right? Next, Shimla is cooler than Delhi. You have to use positive degree. That means we'll be using here comparison of inferiority, and we will say Delhi is not so cold or as cold, both are correct. Delhi is not so cold as Shimla. Not cold, we will use the same word here, so we will say cool. Is not so cool as Shimla. Right? This is how we are changing the degree of comparison without changing the sense of the sentence. Kolkata is one of the biggest cities in India. Which degree are you using here? Superlative. Good. And which one do you have to use? Positive. So how will you say that? Kolkata is one of the biggest cities in India. That means no other. Just like here we had Delhi on the other side, but here we have nothing. That means no other city in India is as big as. So we are using the positive degree here. As big as which city? As Kolkata. So if you go in steps like this, you will be able to do easily. Next, Geeta is the best student in this group. What do you have to use? Comparative. So let's begin. Geeta is, now what is the comparative degree of best? Better. Geeta is better. Comparative degree is followed by, always by than. So Geeta is better than. Now whom is she better than? She is better than. We are talking about students. That means any other student in this group. Right? Coming to next. Sita is more popular. Which degree is it? Good. This is comparative degree than all other girls in the school. Now you have to use superlative degree. So that means you have to use the. Let's start. Sita is the. Superlative degree is most popular. So Sita is the most popular what? Most popular girl. Now we are talking about one girl only. So we are using here girl. Most popular girl in the school. So I hope by changing so many sentences, you would have understood, and from the previous examples also. Now you'll be comfortable doing such changes and comparisons. Do practice. Practice makes a man perfect, children. So the more you practice, the more you will be perfect. We'll be coming ahead with more interesting sessions in grammar. Till then, happy learning.